Hey guys, this is Sam. Welcome back to the channel. Since February, I started to shoot film again. It's been a really fun but a little more expensive process. So to save some money, I have been scanning all my negatives at home. Today, I'm gonna walk you through my workflow from scanning, file management, converting, editing to exporting using a flatbed scanner and a Negative Lab Pro. I have only been using this method for a couple of months. I'm still learning and exploring, so by no means this is the 100% correct way or a better way of doing it. It's just my own workflow, but I hope this video will help you figure out and establish your own process of scanning and editing. First of all, when I get my film to the lab to process, I always make sure to tell them to keep the film in a row and don't cut it. My film holder and archive sleeves are both holding 6-frame strip, so I always cut them myself because some labs they do 4 frames, some do 5 frame. It's just easier to cutting it to your own need. Before I start scanning, I would create all my folders in the Lightroom. I have an individual catalog for my film work separated from my digital works and client works and stuff. All my other catalogs are basically the same structure. Alright, let's treat this as a brand new row. First of all, we're gonna start a main folder. I normally name it the date I shot the row or start shooting the row. For the folder name, if it's for a specific camera test, I'll put the camera name. If it's a specific film test, I will put the film name. Or if it's a trip, I'll put the location. If it's a portrait shoot, I'll put the model name. Whatever naming system that makes sense to you. My naming system is kind of messy, but to be honest, I don't shoot a whole lot of film, so I can't basically remember which folder is which. Then under the main folder, I'll typically have a DNG folder to keep all the negative scans, and a TIFF folder for converting, and a PS folder for editing, that stands for Photoshop, and an export folder for the JPEG files. This is pretty excessive. I know you don't have to have 4 duplicates of every single shot. Let's just do it this way for the sake of explaining my workflow. You can delete or combine some of these folders later. My scanner is a Epson V850. It came with a bunch of different sizes of film holders, so you can also scan larger film format. The scanner also came with a SilverFast scanning software. That's what I have been using. You can also use Epson scanner or VUE scanning app, etc. Since we're just getting a negative scan, they are all work about the same. Alright, before we start scanning, you want to clean your film holder and the scanner bed. Me personally, I don't like these film holders. It gets dusty very easy and the plastic is kind of clumsy. The film holder is to hold your film straight and flat and also prevent Newton rings. You can also get a piece of anti-Newton ring glass and scan the film without the film holder. The film holder already came with a scanner. Again, I'm just using whatever I have right now. Alright, let's open up SilverFast. Let's do a preview scan first. And then we will select our first frame. You want this frame to include some borders to color balance it later. This is the setting I'm using. You want to keep the scan as negative. 48-bit HDR RAW. The name in the past doesn't really matter here because we're gonna do a batch scan. The file type I use DNG. I have been scanning my negatives at 4800 ppi. It will give you a 7000 by 4700 pixel files. It's plenty of pixels. It's actually too much. For 35mm films, scan it from 2400 to 3000. It's probably ideal for like web use or smaller print. So to batch scan the whole row after you select the first frame, you can just hit Command D to make more frames. After you select the whole row, Then you go to Image, Batch Scan. Then you want to find your min folder you just created. Then your DNG folder. Then hit Batch Scan. For the size I have been scanning to scan 18 frame, it will take a very long time. It is pretty slow. You don't have to scan the whole row. If you preview the photo, you can only select the good ones, the ones you want to keep. I scan the whole row just to keep my workflow easier. I normally just take a break or go do something else and then come back to this. After it's done scanning, while you're scanning your next 18 frame, you can open up Lightroom and start working on your converting. This is how your DNG folder should look like. Alright, first of all, you want to color balance them. Go to Develop, use the color picker for white balance. Click on the film border to white balance the negative. Then go to File, plug in Extra, find Negative Lab Pro, or hit Ctrl-N to pull it up. We will leave the source at DNG. Color mode, I use Frontier. You can try other options and see which one you prefer. Then leave everything else at default. Then just hit Convert Negative. Then you will see this Negative Lab Pro panel like this. It's similar with your Lightroom adjustment panel. You can adjust exposure, contrast, white balance, and so on. In the tone drop-down menu, you have some options. I normally use Lab Soft to have a less contrast, more flat image. It's just a personal preference. And in the white balance menu, you have some preset film options. You can just choose the film type here. It mimics the color feature of this specific film stock. Or you can also try other ones, or just keep it neutral, and then just hit Apply. Negative Lab Pro does cost $99 to purchase it. There's a free trial on the website you can download and try it out before you buy it. It's not a preset, it analyzes each frame and calculating the best formula it sees to convert each photo. That being said, I just made a mistake here. I often forgot to crop the image before converting. Sometimes Negative Lab will get confused and mess up the calculation. And for science, I tried converting with and without the film border in the same setting. Sometimes the results look very similar and sometimes they can look very different. So for safety and consistency, you want to crop your image before convert them. After color balance and cropped all the negative, you can batch convert all of them at once. Select all the film you want to convert, Ctrl-N to pull up the convert panel and hit convert all negative. And then you can adjust the setting. I'm just going to set it to Lab Soft and white balance to scene still. And then I'll hit sync setting. All of the negative you just converted are all set to Lab Soft and scene still T. And then you can open up the photo to tweak the setting individually. On the Negative Lab Pro website, they suggest you to use Negative Lab Pro panel to adjust your setting before using Lightroom adjustment, since Negative Lab Pro is designed to work with film files specifically. But if you prefer using Lightroom, you can totally do it. You just cannot work on the DNG file in Lightroom directly. You will find all the adjustment tool works either opposite or it just weirdly. To use Lightroom adjustment tool, you need to convert the DNG file into TIFF files. You can select all, go to export, find your TIFF file folder you established before, and choose export as TIFF. Then you can use Lightroom just like how you would normally use it. And for some reason, my voice is just getting deeper and deeper as I'm recording this voiceover. Lightroom is a pretty powerful tool. You can adjust pretty much everything. If I'm doing street photography or just everyday life photo, this is where I would export them to JPEG file and call it done. But if it's for a portrait shoot or photos I want to edit in more detail, I would open it up in Photoshop, for example, to do dust removal, clean up the background, smooth out skins, add some in-depth color adjustment layers, etc. Since this is a workflow video, we're not gonna get into the editing detail. I edit film pretty much the same way as how I would edit digital photos. If you guys are interested, maybe we can make a separate editing video in the future. After you finish editing, you want to save this into the PS folder or just overwrite it as the TIFF file if you don't normally keep a separate PS folder. Finally, we'll go back into the Lightroom, find the edited file, and then you will export it to your export folder. I know, there's a lot of folders. You can even have more subfolders in the export folder for different size and resolution for like posting on social media, or your website, or making prints. Nowadays, I only export them to a smaller web size file and airdrop them to my phone. And I will just delete the whole export folder. If I ever need to print or do anything else with the original file, I always have the edited TIFF file that I can go back to. Since these photos are never going anywhere beside my Instagram, that's if I even remember to post them on my Instagram. You know, most of them will just get buried in my phone forever, and yeah. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I'm still learning and exploring the scanning and editing and film photography all together. While I was making this video, at one point I accidentally scanned the negative as TIFF files instead of DNG files. And for experiment, I converted them the same way and they turn out very differently. The colors are more rich, there's a higher contrast, more accurate skin tone, and I actually like them better than the DNG files. So yeah, if you just start scanning your film by yourself, go try different settings, experiment with different methods, explore the possibilities. I have seen a lot of people using the camera to scan their negative. It looks much efficient. To do that, you will need a camera, a macro lens, a copy stand, a light source, a specific film holder. I just don't have the setup yet, but it's on my list. I will try it one day, hopefully. Alright, this is it for this week's video. I hope you enjoy it. Leave me a comment if you see I did anything wrong in the process, or if you have any tips or tricks to get better home scanning. And yeah, consider follow my channel. And if you like this video, click that like button. And this is Sam. I will see you next time. Bye. Wow, finally, I got a flawless opening. Oh my god, I am so tanned. Jeez, look at my hand.